Good morning to you, Gary Griffith,
Hi, good morning to you and to your many
all,
listeners
and
and
welcome
viewers.
indeed. So we get the conversation started this morning. Before we even dive in to the focal point of the topic at hand, from where you sit as a citizen, your hopes, dreams, and aspirations for 2024.
A lot of people will be speaking about their hope and dreams will be about crime reduction. Mine is to unify Trinidad and Tobago. I think it goes hand in hand that our country has become so divided because of politics, so divided that every single thing we see or do, we try to find a political line to try to support something blindly when it is wrong, or try to attack or discredit something because they're on this other side of the political fence. It is my hope and dream that Trinidad and Tobago, we can really and truly be united as a country. It's so interesting that during the carnival period, you don't hear so much about all to do. Stephen Williams was very good at it, and other commissioners before him, and other Christophers realized this is what they did, so I have to go the same manner. When you do not have the tactical, the strategic, the operational capability to fight crime and to peg back criminals and to put that deterrent, that high visibility, that rapid response, to put fear into criminals, what you then do is what they have done before, the Stephen Williams and company. Blame society, blame parents, blame the community, blame teachers, and then obviously then state that we need God to come on our side and precept him. That has been the norm. It is because of the inability, they do not have a clue what to do, how to do it. So then you automatically turn and say, well, we need prayers, we need divine intervention. What they seem to forget is that God helps those who help themselves. So it is not a case that God is just going to come down as the second coming, partly assist her in parting the Red Sea and just have the just flood and just destroy all the criminals. It is not going to happen. If we can go all the way back to, I mean, again, looking at today being a day where it is a prime minister will be, we will be saying our final farewell. During the era with Basio Pandey as the prime minister, the chair of the National Security Council, people, again, when I speak about dividing the country, they criticized him when there was a period when he put his hands in the air and he said, I don't know what more could be done. And this was, I remember that period because I was at his right, I was his right hand virtually at that around those times. And he said, because there was a triple homicide. And because they moved to 103 murders for the year, 103 for the year, people criticize and condemn Basdio Pandey. And that is what I speak about with division in this country. So now from Basdio Pandey having 103 murders and people are condemned him, they say you gave up, you threw your hands in the air. And now you have a situation with a prime minister here, where for every one murder under Basdio Pandey, there are six. And some people are trying to say, well, it's because we need divine intervention. What we need are persons with the strategic, tactical, and operational capability to know what can be done. The technology is there, the things are there, the things that would have been done 3 years ago that peg back. What is it? Is it that God was there in up until August 2021 and then he left on vacation and he left Trinidad and Tobago? The divine intervention was already there because the country, we were working together, we were uniting together, we were fighting the criminals. Now we have a situation where we have the state fighting down law-abiding citizens to have not to seize their firearms through the same way that Christopher. Is it God telling her that you need to try to find a way to take back the firearms from the law-abiding citizens? Is it that God is preventing herself and Keith Rowley from doing what is required to prevent illegal weapons from entering the country? Is it God that told her to shut down the emergency response patrol, the operational command center, the commissioner's command center, the several systems I put in place to secure Tobago that had Tobago safe up until August 2021? God didn't do that. She did. God didn't prevent her from doing things that she could do. So again, it goes back to the importance of God. People will understand that God helps those who help themselves.
Mr. Griffith, good morning again. And I love your passion when it comes to, fighting crime and ensuring a safe space for citizens of Trinidad and Tobago to reside in. We have seen your passion, we've seen your actions, we've seen what you have done. And now we're talking about divine intervention and we spring off on the fact that, of course, God helps those who help themselves. What is the thing that has to be done now? Because we've had conversations in the past. We've spoken about what we can do, who did what I did when I was there, what this one did when they were there, and all the talks of who did what and who should have done what, and all these kinds of conversations. My question this morning is, what do we do now? Today, January 9th, 2024, what are the actions that we have to take immediately to attack the surge of crime in Trinidad and Tobago because we do not feel safe. Citizens they feel very unsafe. They feel very insecure in their own homes. I know we have a responsibility to safeguard our homes. Yes, we do. We have a responsibility to ensure that our environment is safe. But what do we do right now? The persons who hold the authority to make, I'm not talking about legislation, I'm talking about action. I want action right now. What are the actions we need to take in this moment to restore confidence in the TTPS and also to ensure that citizens of Trinidad and Tobago feel safe once again?
Well, okay, excellent. Well, there are two questions really, as it pertains to the bringing back faith and trust in the TTPS, and then what should be done now. So let me go to that first question. What should be done now is something that I do not know if we all have the political maturity to do. Put in away our party cards, put it in our back pocket, and do what is right for the benefit of the country. If Keith Rowley had any common sense as it pertains to politics, he would have done that, because what he would have done is he would have embraced those persons outside of his government who do not have the ability, they don't have the understanding of policy direction to that can assist in reducing crime. You bring in those individuals, and if it is that crime still goes up, you can easily say, well, look, they were part of it and they couldn't solve the problem. If it works, he will then be able to say, well, look, it is because of my maturity I was able to work with others to unite Trinidad and Tobago to fight crime. And that is what is required. I do not think he has that political common sense to do this. It goes right back to what Patrick Manning said. When it is he cannot have his way, he would rather destroy everything. You see hate, bitterness, and a man totally out of control. So in the situation with myself, for example, when Kamal Prasad Bisesa and Gary Griffith, we said, we are willing to help, not you, Keith Rowley, but the country. And he has stalled, he has shirked his responsibility. He says he has other things to do. And that is where the problem lies. The country is so divided by politics and politicians. The criminals are benefiting, and therein lies the problem. So it has happened for decades. When governments change, administrations change, we shut down, we dismantle, we remove things that would have worked. That is what we have to do. We want this to work, as what I did as Commissioner and Minister of National Security. I don't care if it was a PNM idea or an initiative. I copied a lot of stuff from Patrick Manning because he had vision. So when he had the OPVs, I decided to implement. I knew the importance of those types of vessels, but I was able to get similar vessels to do the same thing at $1.2 billion less. Because if you type in OPV/corruption, you'll find 17 countries will pay sued BAE for paying kickback to government officials. When he had the Godia blimp, which was an outdated late early 20th century system, but I understood the importance of air surveillance, and I started bringing in drones. When it is he had the SORT, I brought in the Special Operation Response Team to SORT. That is the type of political maturity that we need. Having persons in authority to realize just because this was a PNM or UNC or ABC or XYZ are shutting down and dismantling, that is not the way to go. The second aspect, as it pertains to public trust and confidence, people are criticizing and condemning the police service. But remember, up until 2 years ago, there was a 59% public trust and confidence in the police service. These are virtually the same police officers. So it all has to do with leadership. The police service, we blame Erla Christopher. I asked the country, stop blaming Erla. Erla did not impose herself on us. She was selected by an incompetent police service commission who should be fired. Who's monitoring their performance? They handpicked someone who placed, I think it was 20th or 22nd in 2018 by qualified experts. When they had the interviews and stuff, she could not. That's why she doesn't approach the media or has interviews with the media. And it's nothing about Christopher. Not everybody has the ability. But this incompetent police service commission, inclusive of an individual who is a financial, an accountant and a speaking consultant, no training, qualification, or knowledge in law enforcement, they are the ones who did interviews and took someone from about 20th and placed the first 3 years later. And others, I'm speaking about others who would have defeated Erla Christopher by 20 and 30%. So the problem lies not with Erla Christopher, but when it is you have a prime minister who will handpick a president, who will then handpick a police service commission, you will realize that individuals may not be directed or influenced to do things based on who appointed them. And that is the problem in Trinidad and Tobago. It is always about politics. I intend to speak and liaise early this year with your chief secretary. I think that Tobago can be much safer than it is right now. I always said when I was minister and commissioner, a safer Tobago makes it for a safer Trinidad, because Tobago crime starts to increase. You have to extract resources from Trinidad to take to Tobago that will now cause crime to increase in Trinidad. And there are many things that I did then and can and should be done now. I intend to speak to him because he has the capability to implement some of these policies, bypass the incompetence of the government because of their inability to secure Tobago, and it can be done from we had an operational command center monitoring everything in Tobago, looking at all the cameras 24/7. We put in a system with a 999, not having to, when you press 999 in Tobago, it goes to Trinidad and then it has to come back to Tobago. By that time, the criminals would have gone on their merry way. We had undercover police officers on the beaches. We had systems of a special operation response team, a highly tactical unit that went after the gangs who decided to migrate to Tobago. So they are putting proper systems at the ports in Tobago. Comical, I continue to say, you have to get to Tobago, you have to walk through a walk-through scanner, because we want to make sure that you're not bringing anything illegal to Tobago. But every vehicle enters Tobago through the boat and it is not checked. So all of these simple things, and that will minimize illegal drugs and weapons entering Tobago. So there's a lot can and should be done with Tobago. I am not part of the political party of the Chief Secretary of Tobago, but it does not matter to me. If it is we bypass, put aside our political hats, do what is right for Tobago, at least we can start to secure Tobago.
Thank you there, Mr. Gary Griffith, former Commissioner of Police in Trinidad and Tobago Police Services, giving his opinion and his strong opinion, and of course advice and recommendations as to the steps that we need to take immediately to bring resolve to the crime situation. Of course, putting the politics aside, banding together, and all of us desperately seeking a safer space here in Trinidad and Tobago where we can survive and thrive, where our communities are safe, our families are safe, our possessions are safe, our belongings are safe, and we all live a safe and comfortable life. I wish we had more time in this interview to ask you more questions and to continue this conversation with you. But of course, you'll be back again because we have more things to talk about. We thank you so much for shedding light and for giving some insight on the things that we need to do immediately, the things that we actually can do, outside of, having to form new legislations. There are simple steps that we can take, and we thank you for that type of recommendation. We thank you very much, and we're hoping that those conversations can be had immediately, and those steps can be taken immediately, and those things can be implemented so that we can see, at least to assess if they make an impact on the improvement of the crime situation in Trinidad and Tobago, which seems to be getting out of hand. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been speaking to Mr. Gary Griffith, former Commissioner of Police here in the Trinidad and Tobago Police Services.